5 we have Cartoon Cat. Cartoon Cat is one of the most well-known cryptids. Cartoon Cat is a tall, cartoon-like black feline creature. It has a slender body with white beady eyes. He wears white gloves similar to that of Mickey Mouse. His teeth are sharp and he often snarls at those he meets. His teeth appear to be blood-stained. Another disturbing feature to the creature are his feet, or rather the fact he doesn't have any at all. Instead of having feet, he has footless sharp legs. They are like two sharp points that scratch on the floor as he walks. Cartoon Cat can change his size as he pleases, but the tallest he has ever reached is that of a 2-story building. We know that he knows his actions are horrific, but he commits them anyway. He is intelligent and knows what his actions mean. This leads people to believe he is truly an evil being. Not only is he evil, but he has a lot of powers making him dangerous. He is a shapeshifter, meaning he can extend and warp his body. He can also be in multiple places at one time, his powers making him near impossible to capture or destroy. He can warp between dimensions. He can also use this to warp his enemy's reality. He doesn't obey traditional laws of life. He can make his body malleable, making him able to get through any space. There is no way to hide from him. Due to this, he is feared even among the other monsters. Trevor Henderson himself has even explained that Cartoon Cat is the most dangerous creature in his collection. Cartoon Cat's goal or motive is to kidnap his victims. There is usually no way for them to escape or evade him. He can trap them in alternate dimensions, where there is no one to help and nowhere to run. Once you have been captured by him, he will commit unspeakable atrocities, all ending in him consuming his victim.
Number 4 on this list is SCP-173. So this is also definitely an SCP from Trevor Henderson, but it actually didn't originate from him. Izumi Kato is a really good Japanese artist who first created this SCP. Trevor Henderson was wowed by his artwork and wanted to give it a go, adding his Henderson spin to the art. The Trevor Henderson wiki says, moved to site 1993. Origin is, as of yet, unknown. It is constructed from concrete and rebar with traces of Krylon brand spray paint. SCP-173 is animate and extremely hostile. The object cannot move while within a direct line of sight. Line of sight must not be broken at any time with SCP-173. Personnel assigned to enter container are instructed to alert one another before blinking. Object is reported to attack by snapping the neck at the base of the skull or by strangulation. In the event of an attack, personnel are to observe Class 4 hazardous object containment procedures. Personnel report sounds of scraping stone originating from within the container when no one is present inside. This is considered normal, and any change in this behavior should be reported to the acting HMCL supervisor on duty. The reddish-brown substance on the floor is a combination of feces and blood. Origin of these materials is unknown. The enclosure must be cleaned on a bi-weekly basis. So basically you either stare at this thing, who is sweating out feces and blood, or you die. Trevor Henderson has a sick mind, man, but this is just a lot. I guess that's why he was so drawn to, well, drawing it. My dude just can't stay away from the blood and gore, and this SCP definitely fits the bill. Number 3 on this list is the Gray Thing. The Gray Thing isn't one of Trevor's best known creatures, but let me tell you, it belongs in the SCP universe. The Trevor Henderson wiki says, the Gray Thing is a creature with gray skin, no hair, and a wicked smile. Its body can hardly be seen in the photo, but we assume it's humanoid. The Gray Thing is always found wearing a black robe. The Gray Thing was a man about to die of old age, but right before he could die, he had a vision of a strange entity who offered a new life as a monster. The man decided to take the deal since he didn't want to die, but the entity didn't mention that as a monster, the man would gain a new evil personality. So the entity made him into a Gray Thing. All the Gray Thing wants to do is kill people. It goes around the world using its abilities to deceive perceive and kill. The gray thing can hover, force people to laugh using magic, create magical darkness, go invisible, teleport, create illusionary duplicates of itself, cause fear, slow people down, detects humans, go into people's dreams, and cause psychic damage using its smile. We are talking about an evil gray creature who literally just wants to kill people, and he wants to do it by deceiving them and messing with their mind. Yeah. Pretty sure this would fit right in with the SCP universe. In fact, I'm surprised it's not already with them. Remind me to stay away from any old age homes where the old people are starting to look suspiciously gray. Number 2 on this list is the man with the upside down face. This is right up there as one of Trevor's most dangerous creatures. The Trevor Henderson wiki says the man with the upside down face is an unnerving creature created by horror artist Trevor Henderson. His ability to sneak around unseen to feed off of people's negativity makes him one of the eeriest creatures in Trevor's long list of monsters. He is also able to cause disasters, make people violent, levitate, teleport, and to top it all off, he is one of the most intelligent creatures that Trevor has ever made. All of these perks makes him one of the most feared and dangerous cryptid in the mythos. This guy has killed people. Like, hundreds of people. Natural disasters and other atrocities have all been committed by his hand. He and our next entry are both ranked 10 on the Trevor Henderson pain scale by Trevor himself, meaning that he really is the worst of the lot. And number 1 on this list is Cartoon Cat. Cartoon Cat is one of Trevor's most famous creatures, and it could totally be in the SCP universe. The Trevor Henderson wiki says Cartoon Cat appears as a tall, anthropomorphic, cartoonish black, feline-like creature with a slender body and white, beady eyes with pupils that can presumably dilate sometimes, and it also has a gray nose. His gloves are white and very similar to that of a typical 30s cartoon character with 3 black line patterns on each glove. His teeth are blood-stained, affixed under a red set of bloody gums. The creature doesn't appear to have feet for its legs. Instead, it only possesses a set of footless, sharp legs. The arms are disproportionately long, and while its size varies, the height of Cartoon Cat can reach that of a 2-story building. Cartoon Cat is so malevolent, he is considered the most evil and malevolent creature in the mythos, even exceeding the man with the upside down face, despite his love for misery and negativity and putting his face upside down only to pervert our expectations of how a human is put together. Cartoon Cat was implied to commit atrocities way more heinous than what any other creature has done. He is at the highest rank of the pain malevolence scale used by Trevor to rank the creatures by malevolence along with the man. So the Cartoon Cat is pretty freaking bad, guys. This creature is able to distort the laws of physics and move itself around like it would in a cartoon world. Apparently he can break reality, and his powers know literally no bounds. Everything I have read about this freaking cat says that it could totally be in the SCP world. Also, a lot of people have done videos breaking down who would win in a fight, the SCP Foundation monsters or Trevor Henderson, and Cartoon Cat is always Trevor's most fearsome monster who puts up the best fight. But number 5 on this list is Bonesworth. Bonesworth initial drawing was done back in 2020, but hardly any info was released on this creature until very recently. The Trevor Henderson wiki says Bonesworth is a skeletal being that is missing the lower half of its skeleton. The creature's skull is toothless and made up of 2 parts, the first noticeable one being a type of shell or plate that covers up its actual skull. The plates appear to be a creature skull, split in half and resting on its regular one. Now on to its actual skull. In none of the 4 known photos of Bonesworth, the inner skull can be seen. With further examination, a crack on its inner skull that forms a cross can be seen on its forehead between its eye sockets. The creature has oddly elongated arms that he seems to walk with. It could be a ghost, a failed experiment, or possibly both. He also seems to only want to attack people who either have recently done something wrong or mean if they are a criminal or if they hurt Bonesworth. He is also known as Counterclockwise Jack. So that's what he looks like, but what does he do? Well, for a long time, we weren't sure. But on February 15th of this year, Trevor gave us a few clues. He posted some more images of him on his Instagram, and this time he captioned the photos Bonesworth. Once Bonesworth, named after a once popular phone game said to be key to summoning him, he latched on to his favorite. He's almost impossible to get rid of. Only able to be seen by the person he is currently following. Bonesworth often brings insomnia and sickness. So, that is a lot more info that we just got. He didn't tell us exactly how to summon him, but he said that it has to do with a phone game of the same name. He also tells us that if you do summon him, he will be almost impossible to get rid of. Ultimately, after reading that, I don't think that summoning this dude is a good idea at all. He gives you insomnia and makes you sick, and you're literally the only person who would be able to see him, so everybody around you would just think that you're going crazy.
Coming in at number 4 we have Behemoth. The Behemoth is an enormous creature, is the largest of all the giants. It's unknown just how large the creature is, as only a fraction of it has ever been seen. It has some unique abilities that the other giants do not, making it the most famous. The one time that the Behemoth was captured on camera, you can see how truly giant it really is. Only the head of the creature is visible, but it is already as tall as the entire mountain. It appears the creature is covered in pale white scales, some of which look damaged. It is believed the creature may have been captured. It might have been stored under the mountain to keep everyone safe from its abilities. Given its size, it is likely the creature was able to break free and find its way to the surface. People have compared the giant's features to that of an iguana. This could mean the giant was created due to experiments or natural exposure to something that altered its DNA. Some believe the creature is from another dimension. His kind somehow figured out how to break through the barrier to our world and invaded. Some say that Behemoth is the ruler of the giants, acting like a god figure to them. This makes him more dangerous as he can not only cause great destruction but has an army of giants who follows his command. Due to his enormous size, the Behemoth is destructive even when docile. He has the ability to crush an entire city with ease. Monsters this size can also cause huge earthquakes on a 12-point scale. This is enough to bring down even large mountains. The creature is able to travel undetected as it can burrow underground. It's believed they create a tunnel system underground so that they can move around as they please. When the creature wants to inflict damage on those around it, it will let out its roar. This causes massive sonic damage, deafening anyone who hears it. Coming in at number 3 we have Misty Guest 1. There are 3 Misty Guests that have appeared so far, each one terrifying in size, but we are going to be looking at Misty Guest 1, also known as the web kraken. It can be explained as a spider or octopus-like creature. It is over 177 feet tall. It towers over everything. We can see that its body is blood red. It has long legs, much like a spider that no one has ever seen the end of. It appears only in the mist as to not be identified from far off distances. It is assumed due to its enormous size that the web kraken is a giant, although unlike the previous, it is not intelligent. It seems to just roam, causing destruction in its path with no reasoning. Given its name the web kraken, you might have guessed it likes to create spider-like webs for humans to wander into. Once you are caught in its web, it deems if you are worthy. Very Thor-like. If you're not worthy to ascend, it will consume you whole. It can easily devour humans or even large vehicles whole. The creature does have a weakness. Much like spiders, it fears fire. This destroys its webs. If you could create a fire big enough, the kraken would flee in fear. However, no one has ever seen one of these creatures perish, so you can save yourself, but you may not be able to stop them permanently. Don't underestimate the creature. Although it is giant in size, it can move at high speeds. It will sometimes freeze when noticed, but once you let your guard down, it can take a hold of you before you even notice it has moved. Coming in at number 2 we have Upside Down Face. The man with the upside down face could easily be mistaken for a demon. He is a dangerous cryptid who can cause disasters or influence people's actions. His appearance is that of an adult man, with his head turned completely upside down. He is always seen with an eerie smile. His eyes are pitch black like black holes. He has been pictured wearing a black suit with a white shirt and tie. He seems to appear formal. This could be a disguise to try try not stand out in a crowd. The origin of the cryptid is unknown, but due to his first sightings being in Budapest, many believe he is from Hungary. His first appearance was in the 1910s. He was spotted around the world between then and the 1960s. Since then, his appearances seem to have stopped. Some believe he has disappeared for good, but there is no way to truly know this. While he was active, he was given the nickname the patron saint of car wrecks, as well as natural disasters, misery. He is always seen near disastrous events, mostly near car crashes, but sometimes he is drawn to general misery and suffering. This could explain why he was most active during the time of both world wars. He feeds off of the suffering of humankind. There were plenty of that for him to feed off during the war. When there is not enough suffering from him to feed off, he will create misery. He will cause crashes. Some believe he can even create plagues to cause mass suffering. Of course, anyone would notice someone walking around with an upside down face. It is believed his true form is only captured in photographs. You would not notice it at the time, but once the photo develops, you'll be horrified to see him hidden within the image. He has been captured on film a number of times now, but no one at the scene saw him at the time. He has also been known to kidnap large groups of people. A whole town can suddenly disappear into thin air like they were never there. It is unclear how he is able to do this or what he does with his victims, but they are never seen again and no evidence of what happened to them is ever found. And finally, in at number 1 we have Siren Head. Siren Head is both a creation of Trevor Henderson and an urban legend. He gained a lot of attention in recent years for being a terrifying villain. He is a 40-foot tall humanoid creature. He has a skeletal frame, body covered in dried flesh. Where the head of a skeleton should be, he has a number of sirens. He can also reform them to look like a streetlight. Inside the sirens appear to be the creature's mouth. It both creates sound from these sirens and also consumes its victims. His speakers can create various types of loud noises, including voices. It can mimic perfectly human voices from its previous victims. It will often use this to pick off a member of a group and then use that voice to lure others into its trap. It's typically known to make an air raid siren noise as well as an emergency broadcast to try and disorientate its victims. Siren Head can travel at high speeds and is very intelligent when it comes to avoiding capture and fighting off any attackers who might try to contain him. He will mostly use stealth to lure people alone so he can attack without causing others to be aware of his presence. Some also believe he is capable of dimensional travel and can disappear as and when he needs to. Siren Head is not a being from our reality. Some say he is not limited by our laws of nature. He can change manifestation, appearing different in each victim's view of him. It is not known how Siren Head came to be. Some think he was an experiment gone wrong, and others believe he has come from a different world. Some theories say he is an all-powerful, all-knowing being who is unstoppable in our world. He is a very aggressive, monstrous creature. It understands humans but shows no sympathy to their cries for mercy. Siren Head seems to be developing and learning how to create the most destruction with his powers. One of the latest sightings and reportings of Siren Head describes the aftermath of him taking out an entire town. In a never-before-seen tactic from the creature, he burst the eardrums of everyone in the town, causing mass casualties. He left all of the residents behind, meaning he is no longer consuming his victims. This change in behavior is disturbing as no one knows just how much he is capable of.
Number 5 on this list is Big Charlie. This is one of Trevor Henderson's creations that is guaranteed to be an SCP. It's known as SCP-4158 by the SCP Foundation. The Trevor Henderson wiki says, Big Charlie is a large mammal-like creature. It resembles some sort of cattle, yet at the same time it has a beak-like protrusion on the tip of its mouth. Its body is so skinny that you can see its rib cage. It also has a thick dark mane that goes from its head to the back of the creature. Its eyes appear to be foggy, which might indicate that the creature is blind, though in most depictions he does have normal eyes. Its legs are very lengthy compared to its body, and it seems as if its legs can barely support its weight. Big Charlie is around 20 to 30 feet tall. Now, one thing that the Trevor Henderson wiki doesn't mention that the SCP Foundation does is that Big Charlie is apparently always getting bigger. They say SCP-4158 is constantly growing in size and weight. As such, excess mass must be sheared off every week. Testing has shown that limiting the diet of SCP-4158 does not limit its growth. Additional testing has shown that any meat that has been removed from SCP-4158 does not display the same constant growth. The meat produced by SCP-4158 is USDA utility grade beef and has shown no anomalous properties. Despite this, the resulting meat is to be incinerated as a cautionary measure. It's currently believed that this creature was either born like this or came from a meat processing plant where some type of accident occurred. Either way though, neither of those things properly explain why it is the way that it is and how it continues to grow. It is currently locked up in the SCP Foundation and, as I mentioned, constantly has excess meat shaved away from its body. I can't imagine that it likes that too much, but it's the only thing that we can do to stop it from growing completely out of proportion. In all honesty, I'm not sure why they don't just put the poor thing out of its misery though, because I can't imagine that being locked up and having pieces of your body sliced off all the time is a really good or fun existence. Number 4 on this list is the Man in the Creek. The Man in the Creek is one of Trevor's newest creatures to date. It was posted on May 30th of this year, and very little is known about this thing. As we can see in the image, we are in a beautiful forested area that looks to be very thick. There's an opening into the bush in front of the viewer with a lone branch going directly through it. On the other side of this branch, barely visible in the darkness, is the grotesque looking face of a creature. The Trevor Henderson wiki says the Man in the Creek appears to be a disfigured human. It has a long head and long arms. Its skin color resembles its habitat. It is a green-grayish color. The legs can't be seen in this photo, so we're unsure if it lacks legs. And that, guys, is literally all we know about this thing. Its origin, why its face is the way that it is, the abilities that it has, whether it's friendly or not, we really have no idea. The only thing that we know for sure is that Trevor has been referring to this as the Man in the Creek. Hopefully he spends a little bit more time developing this character so we can discover the lore surrounding it. Number 3 on this list is the Clatter. The Clatter was initially introduced into the Trevor Henderson world in late 2021. In November of that year, Trevor Henderson posted a picture on his Instagram of a new monster. The picture was a grainy photograph of this creature stopping in at a gas station. Probably really pissed off about the gas prices and going to voice its complaints, but more on that in a later video. This creature resembled a moose or deer in size and body type, however, that's where the comparisons come to an end. There was absolutely no flesh attached to this creature at all, or at least not the type of flesh that we're familiar with seeing. Its entire body was made up of what looked to be antlers. These antlers were intertwined with one another and created this very creepy skeletal thing that was very similar to, like I said, a deer or moose. Maybe the creepiest part about all of this though is that they were covered in blood. The antlers looked stained with blood as if it had just been in contact with it, basically alluding to the fact that this creature is fresh off of murdering someone or something. This picture was posted back in November and the caption to that image was, "A being of lonely truck stops, empty woods, abandoned hunting spots. The angry wasted remains, antlers sharp as malice." Now this is all that we heard about this creature for a long time. After it was posted, the Trevor Henderson community went abuzz, starting to discuss what type of abilities it had and where it came from. The community ultimately decided that it would be named Antlers and concluded that this beast must be able to levitate and that it can communicate by changing the pathway that wind blows through its body. We started to believe that this was the last of this creature until February 15th. Trevor posts another few pictures of this creature, and this time the caption reads, "The Clatter. Lonesome entity made of discarded antlers of all shapes and sizes. Haunts rest stops, hunting blinds, and tourist traps in secluded woodsy areas. It's named after the horrendous noises it makes when it moves, and its cry is like the wind blowing through bones. So now we know that this creature is actually named the Clatter, and that it likes to hunt for victims in more secluded areas close to the woods. No one has any idea how this creature came to be and how it gathered up the discarded antlers. All we know is that it exists and it's dangerous. We also don't know of any weaknesses either, but considering it doesn't have any flesh on its body, I can't imagine that there are too many weaknesses to speak of when it comes to this creature. Number 2 on this list is Sticky Note Guy. Okay, so this thing is not named Sticky Note Guy, but like I really have no idea what this thing is or what it's called, so I'm going with Sticky Note Guy. This image was posted on May 28th and Trevor captioned it with 3 emojis. One was an eyeball, another was a piece of paper, and the third was a red marker. As we can see in the photo, this creature is levitating and looks to be in some type of superstore of some kind in the washing machine section. We can also see on the bottom left of the screen that it says 2022, as in that's when this photo was taken. Now, in all honesty, we know nothing about this guy. Heck, I don't even know its name. But on July 1st, Trevor Henderson posted another image to his Instagram that gave us just the slightest bit of info. He made a tier list of all of his monsters and ranked them by how friendly or deadly they are. This creature made it into the orange tier, which reads, "Don't get close, don't look at it, don't speak to it, don't think about it, Memetic hazard." So, I think it's fair to say that this beast is dangerous and will hurt you if it chooses to do so. And finally, number 1 on this list is Slimy Swamp Ghost. So for those of you who frequent Twitter, this name might ring a bell to you. Slimy Swamp Ghost is actually Trevor Henderson's official Twitter handle. I guess that kind of encapsulates Trevor's energy if you think about it. Anyways, Slimy Swamp Ghost is Trevor's new Twitter banner. He posted it on his Instagram on June 25th, so literally not that long ago at all. This banner isn't just a few words though, there's a creature on it as well. Suspended by several ropes tied to its limbs, we can see a very long-armed creature with no facial features hanging in the middle of the photo. This is an extremely skinny creature and it almost looks like a complete skeleton. Its hips are almost pure bone and its super long arms seem like they could be snapped by a strong wind. We can also just barely make out the fact that it has some super long fingers as well. A humanoid creature that is hanging above the ground may be being carried by some bigger entity. It looks like the backdrop of the photo is of a forest, so this doesn't give us a whole lot of clues, but it does give us a frame of reference to the size of this creature. Which then makes you wonder what sort of thing could be holding this thing up like a marionette. Trevor is really good at throwing small things into his photos that make you wonder and cast doubt. Having this creature be suspended like this makes our imagination start to cycle through possible creatures that could be holding it up. The size and abilities of these creatures off camera would have to be immense. Whatever it is that's holding this thing up, I imagine that this thing is what Trevor is calling this Slimy Swamp Ghost. Considering it was posted on June 25th, it is his newest drawing to date.